Computer. Okay. So thank you so much, Marcelo, for being here. Really, you are our friend, our colleague, and an amazing person that you has been supporting us since the beginning, and especially
Yes,
to me when you gave me your book, your first, so beautiful in Portuguese. And I was telling here that we need to translate those your books into English.
amazing. I'm
Yeah,
very
it
happy.
is very important. Yeah,
Let's try.
yeah.
At
So.
least the last one is about suicide, and there's no. I think that we don't have a book in a Freudian field
Mm.
recently talking about suicide and psychoanalysis. So I think that is perhaps we can fix this.
Yes, I think that, yeah, that would be amazing. Yes. And I was telling that you told me that this presentation has to do with this book, no? Your work that you are doing, no?
Yes, a little bit.
A little
I'll
bit.
talk about feminicide
Okay.
in Brazil. That is a huge problem. It's one
Yeah.
of the countries, Occidental countries. I think that Brazil is the worst.
Yeah.
Colombia, I think also. But so I'd like to talk a little bit about this. So this time it's a little better because I have Chat GPT to translate, and I will show you because English is not very good. So I've prepared the translation in English, and I will share with you my text. I think that is better than my English.
Yeah. Okay, so let me present you. So you are AMS, Analyst Member of the School of the WAP, and also from the School of the Brazilian, no? You say Escuela Brasileira de Psicanálise, no? Yeah,
Yes,
our Brazilian school. He's psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, coordinator of the PSIU, Lugar de Escuta, that's place of listening or the escucha, no? Yeah, a
escucha. A
program,
place of listening.
a place of listening. A program linked to the Federal University of Bahia, which seeks to listen to the subjective urgency in our university life. That's beautiful. Former director of the EBP, well, and also author of many books. Well, like three. How many books have you published?
Actually, six.
Six. Wow. Okay. That's
I
good.
love writing. It was necessary to the end of my analysis. First of all, I was a psychoanalyst, which liked to write.
Okay.
And my analyst now says that I'm a writer and a psychoanalyst. It's a little
Oh,
change.
okay. Okay. That's good. Yeah. So, well, Marcelo, you have the floor. And thank you. Oh, sorry, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Many faces, friendly, friends or and known faces and new names. So, welcome, everyone. Thank you. Okay, Marcelo, the floor is yours.
Okay. So it was a great pleasure to reunite with friends from this initiative, Toronto. I thank you for the invitation and hope that we can share a meaningful moment together. I think this, no? When Inez asked me for a theme that could resonate with the most recent NLS Congress, I
Mhm.
immediately I associated it with a daily tragedy in Brazil, one that we also encounter in the clinic, violence against women and in extreme form, feminicide. So I'd like to talk a little bit about this. I will share with you the text. I think that is better. Let me put here. I think that I have the authorization to.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, I'm authorized to put. So it's very good. Let me share with you. Wait a minute. Now I need to be here. Uh, voila. Are you seeing? It's okay?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay. Uh, so, love, desire, and death is what I think. No, Lacan mentions the passions of being in 1958 text, The Direction of the Treatment and Principles of Its Power. This is included in his écrit. There, he proposed that the fundamental passions of being are love, hate, and ignorance. This trio of passions is directly linked to the subject's bond with the other. There's no passion without the other. This is very important. To think about passion is not like think about jouissance. The jouissance can be without the other, but not the passion. This is a point. So, the bond with the other to the field of the signifier and to subject's position in relation to knowledge. For Lacan, these passions are not merely psychological affects, but fundamental modes of relating to the other and to knowledge. They concern the way the subject either alienates from or separates from the other, how the subjects respond to what the other represents as enigma, lack, or symbolic imposition. So, as you see, I try to speak a little bit like, how can I say, like the psychoanalytic side, but it's impossible to split, as some of my mates think, psychoanalysis and society when we are, for example, in a place like Brazil. So this is why I think that how to be still a psychoanalyst when we are speaking with the other in other discourses, okay? So, Lacan, the passions, the three passions, we can think about love. Love as an attempt to suture the lack in the other, to give what one does not have. It's a kind of formula of the love in Lacan. Hate as a reaction to what in the other causes anguish, opacity, and unbearable jouissance. I think that this is also important too. And ignorance as a defense against the knowledge of the unconscious, against the real that insists. Taking Lacan's notions that hatred is a mode of bodily better, a mode of entanglement of the excess of jouissance in the body with the other, it is important to note that this is a bond of double circulation. And we can think about this when we think about Moebius strip, with all the topology that Lacan will develop after the 60s, okay? So, on the side of jouissance, the topology of the object A allows the subject to shift anguish as the affect that does not deceive into hatred projected onto the field of the other. So, since Freud, we know that we hate in the other what we hate, first of all, in ourselves. Okay? However, from the side of the other, the opposite is also possible. The orchestration of the discourse of the patriarchal master, the discourse of masters, for example, in all the patriarchal societies, Brazil is one of those, who positions jouissance as remainder, as the unthought product, which can push the subject toward an aggressive passage to the act. Do you say passage to the act or passage à l'acte? Passage to the act, it's okay for you?
Passage à l'acte, yeah.
Passagem à l'acte. I will try to speak passage à l'acte. Against the hetero that unconditionally inhabits the feminine being. Thus, without resorting to binarism, it's not my purpose here, but I still decided to divide today's talk from two perspectives, the masculine one and the feminine approach to this issue. And I think that there's a difference between these two approaches. Psychoanalytic practice is faced with a paradoxical and disturbing condition that men who claim to love yet destroy the object of their love, or rather, the object of their desire. And we can, in the discussion after, talk about this distinction and destroy the object of love and destroy the object of desire. But here, I prefer to keep this like this. What is structurally at stake in this paradox? In what way can love twist into hatred and culminate in the annihilation of authority? In Brazil, the numbers are staggering. In 2023, according to the Brazilian Public Security, there were 1,463 feminicides in a year. More than 4 women are murdered each day solely because of their gender. These are not cold statistics. They are stories marked by possessiveness, jealousy, abandonment, and a rage that turns against what is most enigmatic in the feminine. I would like to share a passage of a book by one of Brazil's greatest contemporary writers, Patricia Mello. This book is already published in the United States, so it's not complicated to find this book. The Simple Art of Killing a Woman. It was translated by Sophie Lewis and published by Restless Books. This book was shortlisted for the Femina Prize in France in 2023. The novel tells the story of a successful and independent attorney in São Paulo, a woman involved with an equally successful man. And one day he slaps her the face over a trivial argument. Stunned, she breaks off the relationships and agrees to travel to Acre. Acre is a state very, very far of Brazil. It's more easy to me to go, for example, to France or even Egypt than go to Acre. You need to think that Brazil is a little bit like Canada, is huge. So sometimes to go to a city to another, we take even 1-2 days. So she moved to Acre. I stayed in Brazilian Amazon to take part in a series of court hearings of feminicide cases. And Acre is the Brazilian state with the highest rate of violent assaults and murders of women. It's very important to see that this is a novel, but all the cases that is presented in this novel are really cases, really stories. And there is more interesting is that all everybody in the book has a name, but not the principal one, this woman, or we don't know her name, because every woman can be this woman. She told me this when I interviewed her to think a little bit about feminicide. I talked to Patricia Mello, and she showed me this. And here is the translated excerpt that I would like to show to you. Wait a minute. Second day in court. I felt calmer. The first day had been terrible. I came home nauseated. Today, I could listen to the testimonies without running to the bathroom. The prosecutor read a letter the defendant had written to the victim just a week before the murder. A love letter. A declaration filled with quotes from country songs of Brazil. And the prosecutor cited a study saying that in 19% of feminicide cases, jealousy was the motive. And Patricia writes, and I thought, it's not jealousy. It's never jealousy. They want to fuck us and they kill us. They are angry and they kill us. They want to fun and they kill us. They found out we have lovers and they kill us. They are abandoned and they kill us. They find new lovers and they kill us. They feel humiliated and they kill us. They come home from work tired and they kill us. Men kill a woman, kill women for any reason. That's it. That's the truth. The simplest of all. The Patricia precisely perceives that feminicide is not a mere emotional excess, but a systematic and structural form of eliminating feminine. This is very important to us when we think about our last Congress of WEP, La Femme n'existe pas, the woman does not exist, and related to our next Congress, which is precisely there's no sexual relationship. We have a friend, mate, psychoanalyst in École de la Cause Freudienne, Francesca Biagi Chai. Is a friend of mine because we worked in the same hospital when I lived in France. She is a psychiatrist and she works a lot, Francesca, with crime. And she wrote a book called about the case Landru, a serial killer, with a theory very interesting, and who made the introduction of this book was Jacques-Alain Miller, talking about what exactly means to kill somebody, because in affair, like Miller said, of jouissance is not the same thing that kill somebody because it's useful. I can kill my neighbor because I want to steal her, I don't know, her paintings, his paintings. But when we kill, when is a thing about concern jouissance, it's a crime that is very different. It's not the same thing, okay? So Francesca Biagi proposed that feminicide be understood as a sexual assault, but an intrusion of jouissance into the other's body without symbolic mediation. How we can place this thing that I hate in the field of the other, in the symbolic field, so is quite strange, because we place this in the field of the other, but as a matter of fact, we don't have how to explain, because there is no meaning. We have no conditions to know why we put this this how can I say, this locus of jouissance in the field of the other, and which collapses the bound and pushes the subject to the passage à l'acte. The murder of the beloved woman thus reveals a desperate, sometimes, and failed attempt to tame the real of jouissance that she represents, this woman. The feminine as patu, not at all. I don't know if you say not all. I translate like this. Not all, the patut, inscribes into the symbolic an impossible hold of the seal. Excuse me, an impossible hold to seal. It's impossible, this. At this point, Lacan's neologism, traumatisme, I don't know how you translate this, but I put like in French, becomes relevant because traumatism is a fusion of the word true, whole, and trauma, like in English, trauma. And the sexual encounter, says Lacan, is always traumatic. It's exactly what we're going to start in our next Congress of WAP. It's always traumatic, for there is no signifier capable of fully symbolizing sexual difference. We know this. We study this all day long when we read Lacan. There is already a remainder, an impossibility that returns as anguish or violence. Feminicide, then, would be a radical response to the unbearable existence of that realm that women incarnates. Not the symbolic women, not what we can talk about the women, but what escapes from the symbolic, but it is in his body. Okay? I propose so to approach the master's discourse, first from the position of truth, and then from the imposition exerted by the master's signifier of a given era or a culture upon that truth. It's the same Madeline, but in different sides of think this case. No, it's not really the same show. To illustrate the jouissance subordinated to the master, I will draw on a case from Freud, the case of Emma, and to address the master's side, I will turn to Shakespeare play Othello. Freud and Shakespeare. Very good. I think that is very fancy, but I think that is important to do this. So let's see here. I don't know if when I do this, we can see what I'm doing with the. Are you seeing here? I think with yes. I will make like this. Perhaps it's better.
Yeah, we can see. Yes.
You can see.
So. Yeah.
Thank you. So we can. As a matter of fact, I would like to say that we can think about the master's discourse concerning the feminicide, the man's position, thinking that this kind of jouissance, the truth, and we know that this is the position of the truth, can be what we need to eliminate, to suppress. And in S1 here, in the same discourse of master, we think about the culture, about the imposition that you need to be a man, and a man, when he's a man, he do this, he's violent, he need to speak like a man. All these are a master discourse that is in the same discourse. Don't we have, you see, here we can think the masculine side of the discourse of the master, and here the feminine, the product, as a rest of the same discourse. So is a kind of discourse that put women in this position. The case of Emma, reported by Freud and later commented on by Lacan, is paradigmatic. An 8-year-old girl was touched over her dress on the genital area, inappropriately by the owner of a small shop. This is in the end of the 19th centuries. Freud, I think that he wrote this case precisely in 1905, but it concerns, we have traces of this case 10 years before a little bit, in the end of the 19th century. This man touched inappropriately by she was touched inappropriately by the owner of the small shop. She immediately fled the scene, but of her own will, this is very, very important, returned to the store one day after. And why? If she fled, why? She had the movement to return after to the same place that she was touched before, and she fled away. The second return to the shop and the two scenes as a whole only appeared during Freud's analysis many years later, when she was already an adult. When, as an adult, she developed a phobia and an inexplicable feeling of guilt and entering shops. So sometimes you have fear of entering shops, and this is one of the reasons why it does exist. That is, the trauma does not become established at the moment of the act, okay? But retroactively in the second scene. Nevertheless, it remains repressed, both things. The first day, the second day, remains repressed and only emerges later in the form of a symptom. In the original text, Freud used the term atentado, assault, to refer to the shopkeeper's gesture. Something that leaves a mark, that invades both the body and the psyche, I put like this, with an excess of jouissance that cannot be named. The symptom is a kind of excess of jouissance, but the first meeting with the act of the owner of the shop inscribes right a kind of jouissance without no meaning. It was not possible to Emma understand what was happening, but she knows that it was something that asks her, pushes her to return. So we can see what happens in this case. So both scene 1, scene 2 was repressed, but both scenes return after as a kind of symptom that was a phobia, a symptom that was this fear to enter, to go to the shop. This assault is not exhausted in the act itself, but persists as a scar. Emma, although a victim, feels guilty. And it's precisely this subject division that constitutes the core of the trauma. Feel guilty, why is the other that was the agent to put in her the culpability. This is very important to think about how psychoanalysts may talk about this. I think this is very interesting, this. Violence in this case found a structure. The body becomes a site, her body is Emma's body, a site of excess, of the unbearable of shame, to impose guilt and shame, and to impose guilt and shame on the enemy, in fact, is one of the strategies used to occupy a foreign country. For example, the invaders rape the women of the occupied population. We saw this, for example, in the massacre of Rwanda with the Tutsi, for example. Analysis allows this mark to be articulated, so is the edge of a real that is in this case. Let us contrast this with Desdemona from Shakespeare, as I told you before. Unlike Emma, Desdemona is not pierced by an unnamed jouissance, but she was killed by the word of the other, Iago, who manipulates Othello with venomous language, and Othello finally kills Desdemona. Desdemona's murder occurs within a symbolically constructed delusion. It is the power of the word, when used to enmesh the subject in the fantasy of betrayal, jealousy, and that authorizes the women's elimination. So we have, in the case of Emma, she felt guilty of her own jouissance, but Desdemona, she was only the object of the discourse of the mass, or of the discourse of the other, which empoisoned Othello with all the words of jealousy, as you know. You know the story, perhaps all of you. These two cases, Emma and Desdemona, illustrate how the feminine can be traversed by different forms of violence. That of the real that cannot be symbolized, and that of the symbolic that imprisons. Both, however, converge the point where the women is reduced to an object, whether an object of jouissance or the other's delusion. In this scenario, psychoanalysis must not remain silent. That's the reason that I think that we are now in a moment in psychoanalysis that we need to talk with the other and try to read what happens around us. It's very important. It's impossible to be only in behind our coaches, quietly, safely. Psychoanalysis, when we go to the street, is very dangerous, I know, but pursues the program that I do here in Brazil, which Mônica Nogueira here, and Fabio Montovanelli, I don't know if he's here, also work with us in this project. You can see it's a virtual project. So we have people from Toronto, Paris, Varginha, São Paulo. We are now 58 practicants of psychoanalysis trying to hear and read the word. It's a little bit what we do in this project. We can talk a little bit about this. Monica can testify a little bit about this too after. Okay? So, as I say, in this scenario, psychoanalysis must not remain silent. As Lacan says, we are responsible insofar as we know how to deal with jouissance. It is not enough to denounce barbarism. I know this is very important, the denounce, but it's how can psychoanalysis can be in this kind of situation? And one must listen to what repeats within it, to what insists in it. Many perpetrators of feminicide, before the final act, display signs, suicide attempts, emotional manipulation, veiled threats, These signs, often interpreted as blackmail or jealousy, must be read as elements of a delusional logic, often psychotic in structure. Sometimes it happens. The clinic of, I put like this, I try to translate, I don't know if it's okay. The clinic under domination is when we have to practice the psychoanalysis in situations with authority and a huge authority, a discourse, or in a country like Iran, for example, that women are not placed to be out of their homes, for example. So when we are in the world, we know that is different, the way that we will practice the psychoanalysis, okay? The clinic of under dominations, Biaggi, Francesca calls, is central. This clinic is part of a growing movement within the World Association of Psychoanalysis itself. To read the symptom, as Miller puts it, I think that you know this text, how to read the symptom in a world undergoing permanent transformation after the evaporation of the father. You know this expression because is quite recently Miller puts this expression, the father evaporates. The evaporation of the father, however, it's relative. Even though in Brazil, in most countries in America Latina, in most countries of the world. So, however, it's relative, this evaporation, as we increasingly witness the fierce return of patriarchal authoritarianism, as evidenced by the troubling data on violence against women. So, if the father evaporates, how can we understand the growth of murders, of feminicides, for example? Many women dominated by controlling partners seek analysis. This is very important. We are in our practice, but sometimes they came to us, and in pursue our project, more and more women come to us to talk about this situation. Okay, so many women dominated by controlling partners seek analysis only when they are utterly exhausted. The analyst's role is to restore the power of speech, not as explanation, but as a limit to jouissance. It's not our job to try to explain this situation. We don't have all the data. We don't know what happens. Little by little, we start to understand a little bit about a couple, about a situation of harassment in a job, for example, but it takes time. When a woman owns, when a woman wants a silent accomplice to domination, manages to say no, a new kind of bond is inaugurated. The analyst sustains this traversal. So it's our function try to sustain this no. So you see, we are still psychoanalysts, but we need to have a function, a different kind of function. I remember I think that we in École de la Cause Freudienne, Anaël Leibovitz-Kenen, I think that actually she's now the president of ECF. She told that the analysts sometimes have the ethic condition to say, in this situation, you are in danger. We need to do this. There's no, it's not neutral, it's not simple, okay? Separation in this context is not merely a factual rupture, but a subjective operation. Lacan defines separation as internal exclusion, a way of separating from the world other without denying it or escaping the capture of jouissance. This is the ethical point of psychoanalysis, to allow the subject, rather than remaining an object of the other's desire or hatred, to occupy a singular position of their own. In Brazil, where misogyny is deeply rooted in everyday discourse, psychoanalysis must take a stand. The indiscriminate use of expressions that we understand, that we hear all the time, my woman, reveals a logic of possession too, that precedes and supports violence sometimes. Femicide is not an irrational act, this is very important, but the logical consequence of a discursive structure that reduces the feminine to a disposable object. It's not a fatality, this. As Miller emphasizes, in the drive, ça parle, it speaks. The violent act is not pure instinct. It speaks. It addresses someone. It responds to an enigma. The analyst is summoned to listen to what speaks in that silence. That's why, to us, it's so important to hear the silence. What is between the lines of a text and not the words of a text. What is between the lines, this empty. Psychoanalysis may not prevent tragedy, of course, but it can operate where a semblance failed and now has failed. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the semblance. So it can operate where semblance has failed, where the master's discourse has collapsed. It offers another scene, another form of listening, where the impossible might, at the very least, be named. Try to find a name of this. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about politics of the symptom. Psychoanalysis is not tasked with explaining femicide. I think that, I don't know if there's a micro, I think. It's either, perhaps you can, I'm already, oh, okay, now it's good. Psychoanalysis is not tasked with explaining femicide, not with classifying it legally, it's not. Its place lies elsewhere, in listening to what remains unsaid, to what cannot be inscribed in dominant discourses, to what returns to symptomatic repetition. The work of psychoanalysis may not directly save lives, of course, but it can disarticulate deadly jouissance, reintroducing the subject into the field of desire. Okay? The submission, the psychic domination exerted by a partner, we need to see this is not a metaphor. It's not symbolic over the real. We are bar, separating both. We have a kind of metonymy in this case that only psychoanalysis with, as I told, Moebius strip may try to think about the topology of this. It is a structure in which the other progressively, silently, almost imperceptibly captures the subject. We know in the histories that we hear in our practice this often, very often. A woman under emprise, under the power, loses her points of reference, sees her desire fade, her speech becomes indecisive. Analysis at that point, perhaps, we can bet this, allows the recovery of the cutting function, of the capacity to say no, even if at first silent, inert, or in a dream. This reversal is never guaranteed. Many women arrived in analysis already marked by years of violence, but also by the belief that there is no other way out. The repetition of patterns, social and even legal guilt tripping, the silencing by institutions, all of this contributes to keeping them in the position of object of the other jouissance. And when they finally separate, the risk increases. This is ironic. We know that most feminicides occur after the rupture of the marital bond. It's after, when she finally have the courage to leave this home, this situation. This fact shows that the bond was not sustained by love, but by a structure of domination. When she escapes, the male subject, deprived of the object that anchored his jouissance, responds with the worst sometimes. The object A loses the semblance that sustained it within the male fantasy. We know that the male fantasy put object A in a function. We can see this in seminar 20, encore. When the object A loses the semblance within the male fantasy, becoming a remainder of jouissance, but an object which must be eliminated. We know this double face of object A. One face of the object A, his semblance, is a galma, is to seduce, is to put in the order, try to organize my desire with my fantasy. We can see this, but we know that object A is also what is a kind of abject. Marie-Hélène Bruce, she used to say an excellent example of object A, the hair. The hair, we need the hair to be beautiful as a galma. We see our hair when we'd like to be beautiful, but the same hair, when we think this hair in a soup, for example, is disgusting. It's the same hair, but you see, sometimes the hair means beautiful, a galma, and the same object A, that it's a galma, is the desire, the object of my desire, is also what I need to eliminate because it disgusts me. Okay. The everyday press describes cases in which feminicide is followed by the perpetrator's suicide. I hear a lot of crimes like this. It's a kind of one bullet for her, one bullet for himself. And this perverse symmetry reveals the logic of either her or me, as if there were no symbolic space to sustain loss. This is why psychoanalysis affirms there is no responsibility except sexual responsibility. This is very important when we think about our NLS Congress World Association of Psychoanalysis. Subjective responsibility is not reducible to conscious intention, but to the way that subjects engages with jouissance, to how he responds, to what within him exceeds meaning. The homicidal passage to the act, passage à l'acte, can be read in this sense as an attempt to erase the impasse, to silence the role that others' existence embodies. In Brazil, legal discourse often tries to isolate femicide as an aberration, even today, a pathological deviation, for example. Oh no, he was fool when he killed a woman, when in fact it reveals the ordinary functioning of the patriarchal discourse. Men are authorized to kill in all the world. They have this authorization. It's Rita Segato, an Argentine philosopher, who said this. I love this expression. The idea that she provoked it, that if he killed, it was out of love, or that a decent woman doesn't expose herself, it still echoes in courtrooms, schools, churches, and even families. This kind of thoughts about the woman. The master's discourse, as Lacan teaches, operates with master signifiers: my woman, housewife, good mother. When this name fails to secure the bond, the subject may be swallowed by a short circuit between the symbolic and the real. And what should have been a symbolic separation becomes a tragic outcome. We must recall Lacan's assertion, la femme n'existe pas, woman does not exist. There is no universal for the feminine. There are women, one by one. Once I interviewed Judith Miller. I have this film I can share with you after. And Judith Miller was very insisted in this. There are only women one by one. The women are not a collective. But feminicide, on the contrary, attempts to inscribe women in an absolute category, the one that must be eliminated. It is therefore the refusion of authority, the attempt to eradicate that resists capture. Psychoanalysis does not propose immediate social solutions, we know, as I told you, but it can intervene at the point where the symptom articulates itself with unconscious knowledge. It can operate as a one-by-one politics. Why not? We can think about this. Sustaining the speech that allows the unspeakable to be named by this woman. These women. This speech does not aim to normalize the subject, but to make it possible for them to separate from the logic of jouissance that dominates them, whether it be the jouissance of hatred, control, or silence. Thus, it is not a matter of curing the feminicide perpetrator. It's not this. It's important, but it's not the case. Or redeeming his action, but of understanding how this type of subject is constructed in relation to the other, and how, in certain cases, the passage à l'acte is the only way he finds to respond to what marks him as an impossible. Psychoanalytic listening can operate here, not to justify the act, of course, but to prevent it from recurring by intervening in the signs that announce it, by listening to what it said before the tragedy. This is what sometimes we can do this in our project here in Brazil, hearing sometimes men in the limit. And when they are able to speak about this impossible woman, sometimes we can put words to avoid an act. It happens in my clinic, my practice sometimes. From the women's side, analysis can open the way for a subjectivation that does not rely on identification with the ideal of the victim of the martyr. As one of the Francesca's patients puts it, she said, I couldn't say no to anyone, not to my husband, not to my mother. But one day I said, this no. This no marks the entry of the subject into the field of desire, said right Francesca, whereas she is no longer the object of the other, but a speaking being à part l'être, someone who even marked speaks. This is the way of psychoanalysis in the face of horror. That is still possible to say something about what wounds, about what silence, about what kills. Not in order to forget, but to endure, not to forgive, but to the limit, not to either idealize the feminine, but to recognize that there is in the woman's body an authority that discourse cannot contain. And it's precisely this that must be preserved. Feminicide as a response to an excessive jouissance. We thus arrived at a crucial point. Feminicide is not merely the result of a sexist social discourse or a culture of male domination, although it is also that. Of course, it's that also. I was talking about this before. What psychoanalysis adds is the notion that there is something of jouissance at stake, an excess, an eruption of the real, that the subject cannot metabolize in any other way except by eliminating the other who embodies it. This is the decisive point. The woman who escapes the place in which the man tries to fix her within his fantasy becomes intolerable. It is not the docile, submissive, silent woman is at the greatest risk. Thought even she may fall victim, but above all, the one who says no, who separates, who desires on her own terms, who shows that life exists beyond domination. It is she who activates the worst in the partner who once desired her as a captive object. The ensembleized jouissance, which manifests an anxiety, delusion, resentment, or humiliation, goes beyond morality and culture. It emerges where fantasy collapses, as I told you, where the other no longer sustains the illusion. It is at this point that crime may occur, not out of jealousy, as it often is claimed, but from a subjective failure in the face of the loss of the object. So we change a little bit the way of seeing this kind of feminicide. We're not thinking more like a social about social conditions. Doesn't matter effect exists, but we try to think about the structure in this kind of situations. No? As I said in the beginning of the text, and quite finished here. As I said, in the Brazilian context, speaking of this is urgent. Brazil ranks among the countries with the highest absolute numbers of feminicide in the world. There are over 50,000 rapes per year in Brazil. This number is the number of the rapes that we have access. So we can figure out that the number is huger than this. No. More than 1,000 women murdered because of their gender, as I told you, but it's not merely an epidemic of violence. It is a structural logic that repeats because it is supported by a discourse and nourished by institutional silence and politics. we can think about what it happens now again in the United States, that we have all the things about abortion, for example, now that it's swept, is changed. We thought that we had superate this, but now we know, we can see the regress of the politics. To speak of feminicide in Brazil is not only to denounce the numbers, it is to interrogate the structure of the social bound, the organization of affects and collective fantasies, the place of the woman in the discourse of the other. That is precisely what psychoanalysis has something to say, because it does not settle for general explanations, but listens to the subjects in their singularity, in their symptom, in their impasse of jouissance. A dead woman is not just a victim. She is the sign of a failed bound, of a semblance that has collapsed, of a fantasy that found no other way out. And that is why analysis as a practice of word can make difference by sustaining the field of speech, even in the face of the unspeakable, by making what was erased exist again, by reinscribing the subject in their own enigma. As analysts, we have the responsibility not to remain silent, to circulate the discourse that listens to what has no name, to operate in the places where deadly jouissance repeats itself, be it in the clinic, the university, the streets, or institutions. Ending a lecture on feminicide is always uncomfortable. There is no possible consolation, no happy conclusion, unhappily. But perhaps one wager remains, that by giving place to speech, by sustaining listening, by not retreating in the face of real, we may open a space for the subject to speak, even in fragments, even stammering, something of what crosses them. And that, in this act, a bit of deeply repetition might deviate, that something of light might resist, that the woman who speaks or who finds someone to listen need not to die in order to exist. So I can stop here. I think that I talked too much, but it's a little bit what I was thinking to share with you, because it's our everyday life in our practice outside our coaches, when we leave our coach.
Thank you, Marcelo. Wow, was amazing. Really, lot of questions I have, but well, maybe I can start at the beginning. I love when you said the locus of jouissance in the other, no? Because you have been working, I love when the otherness, no? You have worked a lot about the otherness. I love when you talk about that case of in psychosis, no? But this is a kind of another otherness, no? That of course can be that, but this is really the other is so important, no? In our life, how do we relate with the other, no? And now all this about the women, no, and the feminists, because well, when you said that we put the locus of jouissance in the other, no, in the feminine in the, not all inscribes into the symbolic as I understand it, like it creates like a hole, no, in the symbolic, no. Um, my question also is because you talk a lot about feminine, no, and the woman. And we have said that I was thinking the formulas, no? Because in the feminine side and in the masculine side, but that is not men and women, no? But usually we say, even in the feminine side, that the woman doesn't exist, no? So, but so my question is, this everything that you said, for instance, can be like a man in the women position, no, in the feminine position, can also be that violence, no, against maybe is the position that maybe generates, but that usually is in the heterosexual couples, no, but So my question is, what do you see about, this feminine side and men and women, no? And also after, maybe I have the question about the master discourse that I think it was so important, and the semblance. I think those three things that you touch, wow, blew my mind, no, about the importance of this master signifier, no, and all this what you are saying about violence, no, that is so important, and the feminine side, the sexual formulas, maybe, yeah. Okay, so I will.
Yes, that's the question. How to separate a man from his phallic side? We can put this in sides when you think about sexual formula, but what I think that is more important is that if the woman does not exist, men and women are in the phallic side. But what happens that men think that men is they put fantasy to have a connection with the other sex instead of love. As we say, a woman can try to fix a bound, how can I say, a relation, try to start a relation, but as a matter, of course, there are cases and cases, but in general, we see that love and the erotomaniac form of love, as Lacan said, the Medea, I think that you say Medea, the tragic woman, said there's a kind of madness in Medea. In there, to love is also a kind of delusion, a kind of madness. Why we love? Freud tried, first of all, when he didn't have yet an idea of what woman was. I don't know if Freud finally knew what a woman was, but Freud said in Introduction to Narcissism that we only are able to love ourselves. And what happens when we love another? A woman, for example. We know that the problem is that so that's the reason that I put, even if I didn't talk to this before, I put in the name love, desire, and sex. Because if you try to understand what happens with men when they love, and I think that Freud, he captured one thing hearing women and men, is that when a man loves, he loves always, first of all, his mother. But in the position I love his mother, a man is the object of this love. So when he swears to desire, he have a problem because he loves the mother, but we know what happens. The mother is forbidden to desire. He can love but not desire the mother. So he need to change this to desire a woman. Lacan has a formula impossible to translate. How can I translate this formula? It's so important. Wait, I have ChatGPT. It's very good ChatGPT for this. Wait 3 seconds. I will put this here, and Chat will help me. Because it's very complicated, the formula. Wait a minute. What? Let me see if it's okay. Oh, forget to put that. It was a translation. Wait, I know he tries to show me what all of what Lacan said about this. It's not what. Even in Portuguese, it's difficult to translate this. Okay. No, it's not too easy. And I think that you have already heard this formula in Lacan. The man remains forever contaminated by the mother from the perspective of the little boy. As you see, Lacan's, when he says, this is from Lacan, this phrase, the man remains forever contaminated by the mother. So we're talking about a man from the perspective of the little boy that he was. So what's the problem? Even when he's a man, we can say that he can begin a family, have children, a woman, whatever. The men do this. The men do this. But even this, as you can see, men remains contaminated of the love of the mother, contaminated of the love of the mother. So we see this in clinic that some men are capable to desire all the women in the world, fuck with 30 women, but the condition is that I love my mother. Mm-hmm. Of course, wives don't like.
No thanks.
Wives,
that's time of the year.
I think that Carlos is talking to me, or Carlos. I don't know. I think that. So it's very interesting because wives don't like this because they have her man behind her, but sometimes they know that the real love is to the mother or to the friends, but not to the woman or to her. I have lot of cases like this. I think that you too. Some men have lots of wives, desire, have a very sexual life, a very huge sexual life, but sometimes they marry. They are able to be with one woman, but and it works very well in sex. But the day that he discovered that she's pregnant, he's incapable to fuck with her, to have sex with her, because she is contaminated of her mother. Okay, Freud have a very humor. Let me help, but now it's more difficult to translate. I'll put his here. Wait a minute. 1 minute. This is Freud. Wait a minute. I think that you know this. Men are disgusted by milk skin because it resembles a layer of flesh with milk underneath, clinging in the glass. This is Freud. So this kind of skin in the milk is disgusting for a man. So in general, when the women and mother comes together for a man, and as we don't have the possibility, even in some very special cases of incest, of course, it's a problem to him. So when they love, we have a change that when they love, it means that he finally put the love of his mother in a woman. So he loves. Finally, he is able to love this woman. But a lot now is the woman that is a mix of object of desire and object of love, maternal, maternal love. So when he receives this no, I don't like you, I don't want you, and she leaves, all collapses, love and desire. I don't know if it was possible to
Thank you,
understand a
Marcelo.
little bit what I think.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have Monica, Leila, Sanem, and Muhammad on the chat. So I think because of the time, I think that please be brief in the questions, okay? And also, I just wanted to say that Shari, thank you, Shari. At the beginning, you share a link to a book that's The Simple Art of Killing a Woman. I don't know if you were mentioning that, so she did put the link, no? The Restless book.
Oh yes, he's there. Okay,
What's the one that
I
you
think that Monica have already read this book.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
very, very important. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah. So thank you. I wanted to mention that and that, Thank you, Monica. Okay. So thank you, Shari. So Monica, please.
Okay, yeah. So the numbers in Canada is also high. 44% of women from 15 years of age and older reported a kind of intimate partner violence. Alongside of my private practice, I work as a women abuse counselor. So I work daily with domestic violence. And what I want to say here, it's very important the point that you mentioned of our ethical position of having a different function in our analytical settings, to point it out, to name what is happening. Because sometimes I receive clients from psychoanalysts from our with psychoanalysts, Lacanians, and so from the group that I relate, for other kind of help, sometimes to find a lawyer or something, and the client talks the same thing that they reported to the analyst about the violence that is very clear. That is something to name, that they are in risk and real risk, but I see resistance from the psychoanalysts when they know that I had to do something about it. They have a resistance of, no, it's not a, let's, it's very important that we don't think that it's only something as a metaphor or something that is to think it's just words. No, we have, as Eric Laurent says, we are citizens, we are psychoanalytic citizens in the world, so we have a say on this. It's what I want to say.
Perhaps I can answer one by one. Monica, I believe that your role in receiving violence is quite different due to the fact that you are guided by Lacanian psychoanalysis. I think this, you know that the real stake goes beyond violence, is structural. The word will not act solely through metaphor, but will operate by producing something that resonates in the body. And this is very different. So it's not a problem of meaning, because these women know everything, all makes sense, but they are incapable to leave the situation, even knowing everything. It's because something is touches their own body. And I think that psychoanalysis, I think that know the power of words and the power of silence, and how to think the word that meet the body, fix the body. Perhaps. Leila.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marcelo. It was great to hear you. I'm Brazilian, so I follow a little bit your work, but I'm living in the States now.
E que cidade?
I'm from São Paulo,
São
but
Paulo.
I'm living in Chicago now.
Chicago.
Yeah. So I have a lot of questions, but I'm gonna listen to Inez and just to restrict to a few of them. I try to. First thing, I was thinking about the table of sexuation, right? As the masculine side containing the universals and the feminine more towards the singularity. And I was wondering if this hate as a response could be read in feminicide as an attempt to erase the singular in a way. That's one point. And I think all my questions are kind of connected. I really liked what you told about psychoanalysis, the place of the psychoanalytic discourse in there, right? As the psychoanalysis restoring the power of speech as a limit to jouissance. And later you talk a little bit about preventing the tragedy by the analytic discourse. So if you could speak a little bit about this project of yours, and if we can even be connected to that, because I was wondering if this project aims to have the psychoanalytic discourse making an effect more broadly. And I think it came to my mind because really today in the United States is happening something very important. It's Trump's birthday, and he has this parade, this military parade, to celebrate it as an authoritarian. And as a response, there's gonna be like 2,000 meetings throughout the country in response to that, right? They saying no to the king. It's an attempt kind of to cut this jouissance in a way, right? So I was wondering if we can think of psychoanalysis also being part of this response in terms of preventing this excessive jouissance that we are seeing that is kind of just killing the people, actually, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, I was long. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Leila. Nice to meet you. Sometimes I need to find someone in Chicago now. Finally, I have someone there who thinks in psychoanalysis like Kenyan. Thank you very much. So I'll try to respond shortly. Hatred is a way of displacing the feminine into the universal. And now we are in the world of universal authoritarianism. There's no place for the exceptions. All kind of expressions, LGBTQ plus community. We have here in our project not only women, we have transgender people. We have even in our project. Monica knows this. Monica, one day you can explain all the project to people here, because it's a very, very interesting project. We have a book that was published last year about our project. But what we have even in our project now one, but we have already 4 transgender psychoanalysts with us. And this is very important because there are no, it was not a change of gender made with the universal discourse. They were all in psychoanalysis, Lacanian psychoanalysis, and it's very different. So we try to do this. So we are in a moment of the world. That's the reason that I thought I told that the evaporating of the father is quite relative, because what I can see now is, in the contrary, the return, more danger of the father, with more strong return of the father, of this father that, yes, he evaporated, and now it comes from the real. And you see this in Trump's word. The most important aspect to our project is that we are really available via WhatsApp. So we are there when they need, because communication now it's more easier, and we have 58 people now in our project, all they orientated by the Lacanian psychoanalysis. We are 58, so we can only this year. Yesterday we were talking about this in our journey here, annual journey. We have more than 5,000, the 1,500 people that came to us in subjective urgency, and in a lot of cases it was situations like this. So the situation in the United States is bleak. We really need you there. Stay there if you want, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanem. Thank you, Monica, too.
Thank you so much, Marcelo. This was an amazing talk, and I really appreciated how you detailed so many aspects. And I just want to highlight one thing, and it is both a question and a comment. What you have highlighted is incredibly crucial for what we think about ethics of psychoanalysis. And here the ethics, I would love to read your paper more and study it more, but just from the notes that I have, not thinking about the cause, for instance, in terms of an explanation. Psychoanalysis is not interested in explaining, so that distinguishes us, for instance, from sociology or from social sciences, right? And when you quoted Lacan, when you said we are responsible as far as we know how to deal with jouissance, that is incredibly important, because we are dealing with jouissance, not only with the others, but also like as analysts in training, as like people in analysis, also with our jouissance. So it is our responsibility too. And that we have, like, there's the dimension of ethics in analysis as well. And that we don't denounce barbarism, we don't forgive, all of it. So I think that this is, and many more distinctions that you made. So thank you so much for that. What I'm curious about is, and you did talk about it very briefly at the very end, when you say we intervene also before the tragedy. So I am curious about before the tragedy, because when we think about passage à l'acte, it's an act without the other. So it is an act that is not symbolizable, right? I mean, it doesn't manifest itself in language. So how can we think about before the tragedy, again, in terms of ethics of psychoanalysis? Thank you so much.
Okay. How can let me see, because I could talk a little bit about Me Too movement, for example, that is very interesting. First of all, I think that psychoanalysts need to stay attuned to the word and know how to read symptoms of our society. However, without losing our specificities, this is very important. Isolating a meaningless jouissance and learning how to deal in the clinic with this. Intervening before tragedy, what it is, strikes. Tragedy strikes. Our clinic work can prevent suicide. I just wrote a book last year about this, about the difference between act and mere acting out. Because an acting out, everybody thinks that acting out and act are words apart. But what clinic shows, what our patient shows, and so my last book, A Morte de Si. How can you translate, Monica, Morte de Si? The death of ourselves, no, the death,
of
the
yourself.
killing of us. Oh, I need to know a name to translate my book in English. I think that what happens when we kill ourselves, or better, who we kill when we kill ourselves. I think that is the better name for our book. I will think about this, Monica, to translate this. Who we kill when we kill ourselves. So I explain lots of cases of suicide, for example, and I don't see acting and passage à l'acte as a word apart, but lots of acts. It's not a kind of advertisement, for example. It's not this. Is that we can hear a logic behind the speech of passage à l'acte, of an act. And it's very interesting in psychoanalysis, but it's not reading what or hearing what the patient says, but what we can read about the jouissance behind what he says. It's a little different. And I show some cases in my book. If you read Portuguese, I can try to send you some text, but with ChatGPT, I can send you if you can ask my address with Inez. I've wrote a lot about this.
Thank you. That's an amazing. I definitely would love to read more, and definitely would love to see your articulation of how these two are not very different from one another, not worlds apart from one another, because this is exactly how we read it. And thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think, Marcelo, really, your vision and what you have published and said about the otherness, I think is really amazing. It's not like the big other that we usually, you go further. So I think that maybe even the phrase that the passage à l'acte is without the other, no, is like what would be the question of which other, no, and also the question that you just said, no, that when we kill ourselves, who are we killing, no? So is that the passage à l'acte? Because many I have heard, no, not in my experience, but when you kill yourself, many times you are thinking in the other, no, you want to the other maybe to suffer, no, I don't know, but more in your experience. I think this is a nice, a very important point to go deeper, no. I think is good. Thank you. I think I was thinking that if you allow that, we can share the book to those, that are here and want not the, sorry, the paper, no, that you just said, because there are so many questions. This is like amazing that maybe we can do a follow-up one day with you, with question, or send you some things, and then, because it's really very, very important. And as you said, like, we don't work a lot about suicide, about the violence, no? And we have in our practice, no, people that we are afraid that they're going to do something, no. So we say they're psychiatrists, or that, but we as psychoanalysts, we can do something, no, as you say, no, to adhere this hearing in advance. It's not prevention. It's a different way. It's a different thing, no. What you are saying is listening, no. What maybe there are some clues, no, that are that the person is preparing, no, not like as in psychotherapy, that they say, okay, if they have a plan, then for sure they're going to kill, but if they don't have a plan, they are not going to kill themselves, like, but it's not that. No, absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't know if you agree with me that since the 90s, we start to think about a clinic, psychoanalytic clinic. It's a clinic of the buried order. We have all Miller and Eric Laurence, the clinic, the buried order, and his committees, ethics committees. So we first of all, we was in a clinic of the evaporation of the father and of the buried order. But I think that this was in 90s. And what happened after? And now we have all the social media. And I think that now we are now facing a new kind of clinic. Is a clinic of the order that does not cease to exist. This is due to hyperconnectivity. So we have the order all the time, all the time. We are going to sleep, we're seeing WhatsApp. I mean, first thing that when we wake up in the morning, is look at WhatsApp. So I think that life, to dream and not to dream, to sleep, became, how can I say, became a little space between two sheds. Life is a shed all the time. And so it's a new kind of clinic. So I think that, for example, why now we can see that increasingly the number of teenagers killing themselves grows more and more and more now. I think that it's a kind of separation of this order that exists all the time with bullying situations, and all the time you have another. And so this is, I think that is a new clinic that we need to face and discuss a little bit, perhaps in another day.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Muhammad, can you read? Do you want to read your question in the chat?
Yes, I can. Is there a question here?
Yeah, Muhammad, I have a question.
Muhammad.
Yeah.
I have a question. How do the metaphor contribute to feminicide? What I think, Mohammed, I think, but we need to discuss this more and more. No, I think that the weak paternal metaphor, it prevents the feminicide. To me, it's impossible to think separated patriarchal name of the father and the position of the woman in a society. Since this is since the Bible. So in the Occidental world, the place to the place to the women are how can I say, are determined for the name of the father. And all the Lacanian formula is to show this, the metaphor. So what freaks, what is the horror of a man, a virile, a phallic man, or a father, a father, a nation father, patriarchal, is that there is no metaphor, all is metonymy between the most Lacan's he will say this in the preface in when he talk in the Despertar da Primavera. How do you say Despertar da Primavera em inglês? A peça de Freud.
The Spring Awakening.
The spring, okay, awakening. Lacan, he wondered if the face of God, is actually the face of the god, the white goddess. I don't know if you remember, you will find this. Perhaps the face of God is not a man. Lacan will write this in this preface when he starts. The face of God perhaps is the white goddess. It's a woman, and it's huge. Thinking about God, man, and Lacan thinking about the face of God as a woman. I think that it means that Lacan was, even before Deleuze and Guattari and the anti-Oedipus, Lacan was there showing that the pluralization of the names of the father is that anyone needs to find what will supply the lack of the name of father. So, of course, if you're not in a Lacanian analysis, it may be very dangerous.
Thank you. Yeah. So the last question, and then we'll finish. That Levi, you were saying about the imaginary father. Okay, maybe if the evaporation of the father, I was saying that maybe the symbolic father, no? But Levi was saying, isn't it an imaginary father, though, not a symbolic father, no? So,
and so what I'm referring to there is the sort of virulent return of a certain kind of patriarchy that we're witnessing right now, especially, or maybe not especially, but in the United States. And this doesn't seem like a symbolic father that limits jouissance. It seems like an imaginary father, perhaps, that is authorizing jouissance, and that's accompanied by an effect of all of this sort of persecution and violence towards women. And you see it with a lot of the men's rights movements as well.
How can I say this? With Lacan, if you go to Lacan in the 70s, the symbolic father is not the father, but a kind of, how can I say, suppléance, a kind of the name, the only name, I use this name, but even in French, I don't know how to say this, Chet, that will help me with a minute, Levi, because it's a very specific word in Portuguese, gambiarra. ChatGPT gave to me, I don't know if it's good, workaround. What is gambiarra? When you have to fix TV or somebody and instead of the right piece to put in this machine or whatever it is, you have to invent, to create a dispositive to fix what doesn't exist. So instead of the name of the father, the law of the father, we need to create things who can put together our incommunicable jouissance, this part of jouissance that is experienced only in our body, with the word, with the other. And to make both together, we thought that the name of the Father could work to put both together. And after seminar 20, and of course seminar 23, Lacan changed this completely and shows that we need to invent, to create anything. And this is the product of an analysis, psychoanalysis, but for example, is the work of Joyce.
The symptom.
So Lacan thinks that Joyce's writings are more efficient than a name of the Father, you know. But Joyce himself didn't believe in this. So this is Lacan thinking about Joyce. So perhaps to Joyce, the symbolic father of Lacan is the imaginary father that you're speaking. But this is the subject of a whole conference that I'll be glad, or a whole conversation that I'll be glad to have with you.
Yeah. No, thank you,
I would very much
Marcelo.
like that.
Yeah. Thank you so
you so
much.
much.
Yeah. This has been amazing as always, Marcelo. All your video, or your conference, or the teaching is amazing. So thank you so much. Yeah. And when
I ask you to not, if you want, the only thing that I ask you is not to make a big divulgation, but I can share with you this text.
Okay. Yeah. Very
But
punctual.
as I need to fix the text, it's a text, a provisory text, but I can share with you. I sent to Ines.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marcelo. God bless
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Marcelo.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice. Have a good Saturday. Now I'm going to lunch.
Un banquete. This was a banquet.
Un banquete.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dr.
Marcelo.
Thank you
Wonderful
so
presentation.
much. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.